So there's going to be a lot in this one, so heads up. And that's connecting our GUI to our event handler and logic in our Java. So there's a lot going on here. There's going to be 4 steps. First, you need to understand what the application is going to be. You also need to design, what components do you want in it? You want to name them. All these different things you need to think of really first, but we can just throw it on the scene builder now since it's nice and graphical, and I didn't have that. I'm so jealous. But anyway, that's step 1. Step 2 is getting the preliminary setup, and I'll show you some things with that. Number 3 is then we go back to the Java code and take a look and put our logic in and everything else like that. There's going to be some neat things I'm going to show you with that. And then number 4 is go ahead and run the whole sucker and make sure everything is linked basically from our class in our project to our scene builder. So there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes here. So let's get into the first part. So what I want to do in an application is very simple, trying to keep this video short. I want to have a label that increments in numbers from 0 to 1, 2, 3, and then decrements using an up and down button. So I'm going to do that real quick. Put in here, put in there, and then label. That's a shame. I clicked L to see if it would go down to it, but it didn't. Okay. Label. And matter of fact, I know I can make the label larger. It's the font that I need to check out with. But anyway, so I'm going to do a couple things here. So I'm going to give every component a name. That should make sense. So I'm going to put down for this one. That one should be up. Oh boy. Long day already. Up. Down. And notice, by the way, it's under code for this. And label, I'm going to put as value. Okay. Now, I'm now going to change the names of them, and that goes under properties here. I'm going to name that one up. I'm going to name that one down. I'm going to leave the label alone for now. Okay. So there is that. So notice I've designed it, I've named everything, and now I've got to go back eventually to, frankly, the controller just to kind of check things out and make sure that we're good to go. There's a lot going on here. First, let's talk about the action listeners and the action events that we have here. Now, by the way, I named the functions up, down, left, right. I could have named it something else. Matter of fact, I'm going to do up listener, down listener, and that's going to change my stuff a little bit, but that's okay. But notice I get to name the actual functions that I want to. Now, I'm again still need to connect those using the screen builder to the up and down arrow, but I also put some systemout.println lines just for debugging purposes. And then again, here's my logic of incrementing a number and then decrementing a number if I hit the down button. So that's the overall items. The other thing that I found that was missing in a lot of the documentation when it came to other videos and stuff like that is that I wanted to make sure that the label had a value of 0 in it. Now, it was going to be a string, but it's still a value of 0. The controller does not have a constructor. It does have an initialize, which is basically the same idea as a constructor. So you'll notice a couple of different things here. Number 1, I was able to tie all of these values. So, with value and all these other items, where the heck did that come from? Because it certainly didn't come from this code. It came from me using that @fxml, and it literally tied this entire file, which does have value, which does have up and down if I really wanted to. It ties all of those variables, as I'll call it, to, frankly, our controller. So it knows what value is going to be and all that good stuff. So I still went ahead and created a label for value, and also notice that I had to import what the label was, which was rather interesting because I'm again used to swing and AWT here. And I went ahead and right off the bat set the value of the label box to 0. So if I bring it up here real quick, I'm going to do from the main, run as, run component. There's always that error screen that pops up. So just a heads up for a second, and then it clears away. So here's what it looks like. So the up and down buttons, nothing crazy, but notice the labels go ahead and set to 0. So that's great. So now the next part is tying everything together in Scene Builder. So that's our next step. So now back at Scene Builder, I had to collapse a whole bunch of things here and then get to the controller here, which is at the very bottom. I went ahead and select the application simple controller. Notice it was linked already because we opened this from Eclipse, so it was already connected there, but I'm not done yet. So now I want to go up to, frankly, where I have my different components. Now, we've done properties, we've done layout, we've done code, but we've done one thing that we need to do in code, is that's tie it to the actual function. So notice we have now 3 of them, down listener, up listener, good, and initialize, that's fine. So anyway, that's up ones. I want to make sure that it connects to the up listener function. I'm going to do this one, connect that to the down listener function. Notice it doesn't have alphabetical order. I'm going to save everything, and then let's pray this runs. You saw it run with the window pop up, but there was no interaction quite yet. So let's take a look here. Here's a window. Oh, I forgot the interaction with it. Duh. So now I have it running the right way. Up, down, yay. And there we go. So there's our connection, our last stop from connecting from Scene Builder to the action listeners and our sample controller, and voila. Now think about this, is where all of your logic's really going to be done, which makes sense. We all want it in one spot. So if I were to ask you to build a game or something like that, this is where most of your material is really going to end up being.